Bottom tray is a bottom tray is a bottom tray. If it's a 1020, it'll work. I personally prefer really strong, heavy duty ones, and that's why I went with Bootstrap Farmer, because I pick it up from the end here, and if you've ever used those thin, flimsy things, they crack so easy. And these things have been going strong like nobody's business. Now, the people who make these trays, they understand that now, and there's more manufacturers that are starting to make heavier duty trays. But I've yet to find one as heavy duty as Bootstrap Farmer at this time. Very, very good. I definitely want the tall sides to support the tall-sided mesh trays. The purpose of the mesh trays are to support the screens. That's it. To support it above the hydroponic reservoir, the nutrient that the roots go down into, and allow the screen that goes on top of it to come out for harvesting. I started with this screen here. This one's from Bootstrap Farmer, and that's how I got involved with it. And yeah, that's how I learned all my lessons, is with this screen. This screen isn't always good though, because larger rooted things or micros like sunflowers puts out larger roots, and there's no way to pull them out without just totally basically destroying the roots. I started looking for options with different diverse screens, different size screens with larger hold mesh trays. In this case, for example, I could put a pretty big size mesh screen on top of this mesh tray, and I'll be able to pull out the roots, the screen for sunflowers, for example, easily without them catching on this tray. This one's for a little bit smaller, could probably do sunflowers, and this one can still be used for very fine seed. Obviously, the finer the screen, the more support you need between the holes. So, if you're growing something like celery or amaranth, you probably want to stick with this one and a fine screen. Mesh trays serve two other purposes. They hold the domes and they contain the microgreens. If I used shorter mesh trays with shorter sides, good luck finding them, by the way, even if you can and want to. If I use shorter ones, the microgreens wouldn't get very tall at all, and if I took the dome off, they would fall out and over because I grow so densely. And even when they're not growing densely, a shallow tray, it's going to fall out, and then you're not going to be able to put the dome back on. Now, I prefer using the taller trays because I grow so densely. And a lot of times when they get this tall or a little taller, that's the time, it's perfect time actually for most of them to take the dome off. There are exceptions like peas and sunflowers, for example, and even radish, but that's not a problem at all. Between grows, to keep everything nice and straight, I put my mesh inside of a washed tray, and then I put another one on top of it just like that, and that just kind of keeps everything nice and flat. If you have a tray that is not flat, usually because they're stacked and they're warped, let me see if I can show you the warpedness in this one, but it doesn't lay flat in all areas. Here it does, here it's up. Probably wouldn't hurt too much, but if you don't like it, you can take a heat gun, like I've got here, and just go over it so it gets nice and hot. Then take your covers that you use for your microgreens and you put it on here and you put some weight on top of it. In this case, I'm going to use a couple boards. Here's one, I've got another one here. And then just let it sit and cool off in a flat surface. Now let's look at the tray. It's pretty darn flat. Pretty good all the way across. And these little heat guns, less than 20 bucks.